Hey folks, my name is Keet Sugathadasa and welcome to OpenSRE. So today we are going to talk about the activities of a site reliability engineer, or what does an SRE do in practice. I keep getting these questions like, what does an SRE do in real life? Or what do they really manage when they are working in a software engineering organization? So in this video, I'll be explaining the practical aspects or the practical role of an SRE. The typical SRE activities fall into the following categories: software engineering, systems engineering, toil, and overhead. Now let's try and understand what each of these categories actually mean in terms of an SRE's perspective. Let's talk about software engineering for SREs. This involves writing and designing code, even modifying code, even coming up with documentations, design documents, and work like that fall under this paradigm for SREs. For example, creating automation scripts, writing tools that will help the existing system, or creating new tools and frameworks to support the existing system, and even doing system updates to make sure the system is running reliably and to make it more scalable, and even doing infrastructure updates fall under this paradigm for software engineering. Now let's talk about systems engineering in the perspective of an SRE. So this involves mainly around the configurations of the production system. Typical examples would be creating configurations, modifying configurations, doing updates, and even doing version controlling on the configurations fall under this category for SREs. Some of the examples would be load balancing setups, doing load balancing configurations, doing server configurations, tuning of OS parameters, and activities like that. And sometimes systems engineers also will get involved in the designing phase, the development phase, and even the phase where you decide the architecture and phases like that with the development teams. So it's more like a cross collaboration between the systems engineering perspective and the developer's perspective for an SRE. So the next category is toil. Toil is manual and repetitive work that an SRE has to undergo when running or maintaining a production system. We'll be talking more about toil in the next video. The last category is about the overhead. This is the administration work not directly tied with running a service. Examples would be hiring of SREs or hiring of engineers, doing HR paperwork, team and company meetings, bug queue hygiene, snippets, peer reviews, and self assessments, and even doing training and conducting training courses fall under this overhead. Every SRE needs to spend at least 50% of their time on engineering work. This may seem difficult because sometimes toil can be very spiky in regular days. For example, if you're working today, you might have to spend a lot of time today on documentations and less time on engineering work. This happens. So, this is why when we are measuring the time, it's always better to measure in a quarterly perspective or in an annual manner where you can understand, given in this quarter, whether the SREs have spent more than 50% of their time on engineering work. This is very good to understand because if this is not happening on a regular basis, then the SRE team has to sit down and rethink their strategies on how to contribute more to engineering work or even convert toil into engineering work. I hope this video was insightful for you to understand what an SRE would be doing in a practical life. So, we know in theory, so in my previous videos, we discussed in theory how SREs work and what their responsibilities are. But in this video, I just wanted to address the question of what does an SRE do in real life, in practice. I hope you got a good perspective on that, and I'll see you in the next video.